Hey everyone, my name is Josh and welcome back to your fourth stimulus check and news update. We have a lot of news to get into in today's update, but first, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, valued up to $2,300, make sure to claim them by clicking my link, which you'll find in the description box below. Okay, so jumping right into the update for today, with the month of September soon to start heating up, Democrats look to pass a couple of different pieces of legislation. However, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is now calling on his progressive colleagues to hit the pause button. Well, at least on the $3.5 trillion bill they hope to pass through reconciliation. In an opinion piece published in the Wall Street Journal, Manchin criticized his colleagues as being short-sighted and also hypocritical in trying to pass such a massive bill. In the column, he wrote, "The nation faces an unprecedented array of challenges and will encounter additional crises in the future. Yet, some in Congress have a strange belief that there is an infinite supply of money to deal with any current or future crisis, and that spending trillions upon trillions will have no negative consequence for the future. I disagree." So Manchin is basically arguing here that we are already seeing a massive inflation already, and plus, we really don't know what the future holds. What if, perhaps, we have another type of pandemic over the next couple of years? A pandemic so devastating that we need another multi-trillion-dollar relief bill to properly recover. Well, if we go ahead and spend another $5 or $6 trillion this year, we may not be able to afford another massive bill later on. That's Manchin's argument, that Democrats should not rush to use spending as a fix for our nation's current woes or possible future ones. Instead, Manchin believes that his Democratic colleagues should zoom out a bit and realize how today's fiscal policy could possibly impact future generations. So, what does all this mean? Well, if Manchin isn't on board with the reconciliation bill, that means the Democrats will need to get at least one Republican to vote in favor of it. If not, they'll fall one vote shy of passing the bill. And at this time, there is not a single Republican who will come even close to saying yes. This means things can go down a few different ways. The first way is Democrats will keep the bill as is, Manchin votes no, and they fail on getting it through. If that's the case, we also won't see the other bill, the bipartisan one, get through either. The second way, which I see the most likely one, is that Democrats take some of the spending out and reduce the bill to below the $3 trillion mark. Although this could certainly trigger some Democrats in the progressive wing of the party, in the end, they'll still get their way and see a lot of the measures pass through. At the same time, Senator Joe Manchin will also get a win by reducing some of the additional spending in the bill. And finally, the third way, and what I could also potentially see happening, is Senator Manchin holding out in the bill until the very last second before folding to pressure from his colleagues. And in the end, Manchin votes yes on the $3.5 trillion in additional spending, and the progressives get their way again. Some of this pressure from the progressive wing of the party we're already beginning to see. In a tweet, House Democrat Pramila Jayapal said, "Pause on finally delivering childcare, paid leave, education, healthcare, affordable housing, climate action, and dental, vision, and hearing to millions of families across America? Absolutely not." Another Democrat, Catherine Clark, also tweeted, "Look, we've hit the pause button on women, working families, and our planet for long enough. It's time to fast forward for everyday Americans." Then, the Progressive Caucus tweeted, "The Northeast is flooded after torrential rain. The West Coast is on fire. The Gulf is still reeling from the hurricane. This is no time to pause or pull back. We need to pass the President Build Back Better agenda and invest in urgent climate action now. Lives are at stake." So, with all this pressure that Manchin is seeing right now, will it eventually cause him to break? Meanwhile, President Biden doubled down on his support for passing the bill as is, going against Senator Manchin's wishes. In a statement, Biden said that the government should have 2 focuses during the month of September, with the top priority being to beat the coronavirus pandemic. The second being to pass the 2 biggest bills currently in Congress. Then, in a statement seemingly spoken to combat Manchin's views, Biden said, "It's about investing in America's future, not about short-term stimulus. That's not what we're talking about. These are long-term prosperity we're talking about. Creating millions of good-paying jobs for hard-working Americans. It's about reducing bottlenecks in our economy, about reducing long-term pressures. We're going to create millions of good-paying jobs. We're going to ease inflationary pressure. So with 48 Democrats in the Senate, plus President Biden battling Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, we'll have to wait and see who gets their way in the end. In some other news, in what turned out to be quite the disappointing jobs report, the US added only 235,000 new positions when the expectation was well over 700,000. Now, for economists to be this wrong about our job growth, well, that really tells you something. This was also a huge downfall from the last 2 months where we added around 1 million new jobs to the economy. The unemployment rate did see a small drop though, going from 5.4 to 5.2%, but all in all, these numbers from August were pretty disappointing. If anything, this could be a sign that more aid may be necessary, or perhaps some other changes to help speed up the recovery process. And with the extra unemployment benefits coming to an end on the 6th of this month, 3.2 million Americans remain unemployed on a long-term basis, meaning that they've been out of work for at least 6 months. So definitely far from a very pretty picture. In some other news, with thousands of Afghans being flown into the country, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton fears that they're not being properly vetted. Even though he and others believe that the Afghans that fought along with our US soldiers and helped us out during the war should be rewarded by having the opportunity to come over to our country, he has fears that many of these Afghans aren't actually who they say they are.
Bill, the administration is going to have to tell the American people the truth sooner rather than later, but we need it sooner because currently they're flying in approximately 4,000 Afghans a day, and we don't really know who many of these people are because this is one of the biggest bait and switches in American politics. Joe Biden appealed to the generosity and the sense of honor of the American people who rightly wanted to save all those loyal Afghans who worked alongside our troops for the last 20 years. But his own administration now admits that they left the vast majority, that's their words, the vast majority of those Afghans who had been reviewed and vetted in Afghanistan. That means that tens of thousands of Afghans who had no direct connection to our military were evacuated out of the country and now are en route to our country in the days ahead. Now they say that they're going to vet these Afghans, but that's really not possible. I mean, Afghanistan is a third world country, and now the Taliban are in control of it. There's no local police department or FBI or credit check you can run on people sitting in Germany or Qatar or elsewhere. So we really don't know if they're a security threat to our country or if they accept some of the basic principles of America, like constitutional government or religious pluralism and toleration or equality and rights for women. So the Biden administration is going to have to provide these answers soon, and we need them very soon.
Okay. So Senator Cotton mentions that we're still going to try to vet these people as best as we possibly can, but as he also mentions, it's going to be incredibly hard to do so. As Cotton says, we can't exactly run a credit check on them to ensure they're not an ISIS-K terrorist. Now, I certainly don't have any issues letting immigrants into our country, whether that's from Afghanistan or any other nation. In fact, immigrants are what make our country so special and great, but as Cotton says, we need to make sure they're properly vetted. If not, we risk another terrorist attack possibly taking place, endangering the lives of millions of Americans. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, if you would like to receive a couple of free stocks from Webull, make sure to quickly claim them by clicking my link, which you'll find in the description box below. To receive the first free stock, you will need to fully open an account. Then, to receive the second free stock, which will be valued up to $2,000, you'll need to make a qualifying deposit of at least $5. And even if you aren't all that interested in investing or continue to invest at this point in time, you can always sell the free stocks that you receive and transfer that money, however much they're worth, right back to your bank account. So free stocks or free money is completely up to you. So once again, I hope everyone has a great and safe rest of their weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.